All right, folks, we're going to get started here with a little bit of painting, and let's fire this up so we've got computer access here, and we can look at the messages without tampering with the picture quality. And that'd be nice if this thing would behave. Let's go here. Let's make sure my volume's down, which it wasn't. And there we go. All right, here we have it. Now, as I like to say, now it's TGF. Not at the beginning of the day. Now when it's all over. So now we can celebrate or just relax. All right. Right. So where did we leave off last time? Well, we finished this guy, or did we finish him? Did we finish him completely, or was there something silly left on this guy? I think. Oh yeah, there's like armor and stuff on his hands and stuff like that. So that's what we'll have to do, and then he'll be completely done. So let's get that going. This should be plenty moist because it was only last night when we used this. So. Got a couple runaway hairs. It's that time of the year where I guess I'm shedding. Yeah, shedding only like a couple hairs. So, all right. Let's see what this guy's dealing with. Not these other figures that we have here. Okay, they had like leather armor. That's what we're going to go with as well. We still have some of that color that we can use for leather. And I believe this is the side that has this. Yep. And let's get to it. Shouldn't take long, and then this guy will be completely done, and we can move on to our next night. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be the 7th one. We need 15 is the magic number. So let's mix this up a batch. Oh, you know what? I wasn't using this one. I found a good one I was using that I was happy with, and let's go back to use that one right there. All right. I like that. I just got a thumbs up from somebody who I don't know who they are. So they already like what I have to say, and I haven't said anything. Maybe I can, take that thumbs up away. I'll say something controversial or something. Uh, Come on down. You can paint along here with me as well and join the monologue, so to speak. I just finished a book recently on Audible. I know I've mentioned this before. I don't really. I would do that while I was painting, but I'm more productive doing this while painting. But just on my commute and stuff like that, I just finished a book on the Crusades by Dan Jones. It's very. I highly recommend it, and it's kind of unusual in that it goes chronologically, but it hops around from character to character. So it's almost kind of like instead of like just a regular history from the first crusade all the way to the last one, it's kind of almost like his little vignettes of little stories of the characters, and it was a much better way to go about it because it stayed on interesting things. It never really got into things that were just kind of boring. So, and of course, on Audible, I can be driving and doing something else, and it's being read to me, so to speak. So I'm finishing books while I'm doing things I would normally be doing anything, like being behind the wheel of a vehicle. So that seems to work for me. But so I started on the next one is also a Dan Jones book, since I liked it so much. But this one in particular was neat because it was so if you guys aren't familiar with audiobooks, there's two things that are important. Obviously, the book is important. Otherwise, if the story is garbage, that's no good. But the narrator is just as important because if you get a narrator who is mispronouncing things that are obvious, it can be extremely distracting. But this one in particular was narrated by the actual author, and that was awesome because he didn't pronounce anything. He didn't mispronounce anything that I could tell, and even words in other languages, he pronounced them correctly. So yeah, I was really impressed. That was really good. So the next one I started on is another one of his books because I've read the Plantagenets, which is an excellent book. But the narrator in that one just acted like he didn't even want to be there. And I wish he hadn't been there. I wish I would have picked a different narrator. But great story, terrible narrator. And the thing with Audible is it's not like you have a choice of, well, let me listen to this book with this narrator. Almost 95% of them, it's like, here's your one book, and this is who's narrating it, and it's on there. So you're kind of stuck with whoever you have. But yeah, but the Plantagenet book, the story was excellent. Narrator sucked, in my opinion. I'm sure somebody out there liked him, not me. And the one on the Crusades he did himself, and then I just started the War of the Roses one, which kind of picks up where the Plantagenet one's left off. The Plantagenet one ends in 1399, so this is going to be 1399 through. I think it picks up where the other one left off. I hope so. 1399 through Tudor times. It does get into the Tudor stuff. So I have cursory knowledge of all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to taking some mental notes and go like, oh, I'll read a little bit more about this situation. So 3 nights in a row. What in the four houses of Hogwarts did we do to deserve such a gift? Well, here's what you need to be asking me. You're watching me 3 nights in a row, so what in the world did you deserve to not have anything to do other than to listen to me? It's a symbiotic relationship, right? The Four Houses of Hogwarts. I tried watching the first movie twice. I think the first time I made it through like 25 minutes, and the second time like 20 minutes. I just that's just not meant for me to watch that movie. So, uh, playing Skyrim. Okay. You know, I think I played it way back in the day, and I didn't like it. It was like it almost seemed like it was the same textures over and over and over again. Now, there is, and I'm not against fantasy because there's lots of fantasy stuff that I do like, but there was a game that kind of reminded me of what I thought Skyrim was going to be, and I'm not going to remember. It was called Dungeon something, and this is like around 2001, 2002, maybe even later than that. And what was really cool about that game, I don't remember what it is, but it was definitely a fantasy setting. It wasn't Dungeons and Martian. Welcome. It was. I don't want to know what it is. So basically, the game starts where you get to pick whether you're a male or female, and you don't pick what class you are or anything. And I thought it was really unique. You have kind of like this storyline of somehow you're involved in some king or something happens to the king and he gets captured, or I forget what it is. It's isometric gameplay, and but you could like zoom in and stuff. It's not like you've got to click every time they attack. It's a little bit more step back from that. It's not like Diablo where if you don't click on the guys, you're gonna die. It there is some automated stuff to it, but it wasn't Forgotten Realms. I don't think it was D&D related. Regardless, you start off and you can pick whether you're male or female, and you start like at a farm, and it seems like the game is pretty linear at that point, but you have different things you can do, and as you do them, your character gets better at doing that. So it's kind of cool that you don't set out to be a wizard. And then you're like, oh, well, I've got to do wizardly things because otherwise I'm no good at the other stuff. It's almost like do whatever you want and you're to use it. So in other words, you have a bow, you start off with some crappy bow. And if you'd like to start shooting at people, all of a sudden you're going to start becoming a good archer. And I think that was really unique. But I got it late enough that it didn't work. I was never able to finish the game. I got like 75% through the game and I was never able to finish it because it started running kind of glitchier. Everything, it was demanding on the video, but I don't remember what it was called. Never mind. I don't think it was on PC. I don't think it was Neverwinter Nights because I played Neverwinter Nights, and that one is a little. That's definitely D&D. I don't like D&D based games, and the reason why is because there's too many. Like way back in the day, I played. Oh, what's the one that has all the characters that have the funny sayings in it? I know that doesn't really narrow it down. Um, Baldur's Gate, where you have the guy who has the pet hamster, right? Full plate and packing steel. You know that one. I was loving that game way back in the day. And then I came across these guys with like magic arrows, and it's like, oh, it's like four archers, zippity doo dah, right? But because they were magic, I couldn't deal with them, and when I play those kind of games, I like being challenged. But if I like die like 14 times in a row and I couldn't figure it out, I'm like, I'll just move on to something else. It's like, I'm not a fan of like banging your head into the wall. But it wasn't that game. I don't remember what it was. But maybe this will help you. You start your character. You don't pick what class you are. You just kind of do your thing, and you become better at your thing as you do it. There's goblins in it, and the goblins do have firearms. Not like AK-47s, but they do have gunpowder type weapons. I don't remember anything other than that. And it was a minimum of conversation. I mean, yes, there was conversation, but it was definitely a combat oriented game. I don't know what it was, but it was on PC. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't know how I got talking about that particular game, but I thought that was pretty neat that you got better at doing the things that you do, just like you would do in real life. In real life, if you want to be an archer, you kind of have to start practicing shooting things, or it's just not going to come naturally. You're not going to have like an epiphany, and oh, all of a sudden I know how to shoot things with a bow, and so that was kind of cool. But I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but there's a lot of games where, for instance, I don't really care what the storyline is if the gameplay is good. And perfect example for that is, do I have a Norman army? I have troops to probably build four of them that I've collected over the years. But Mitch has one, so all of a sudden my interest has gone out and doing it. I was going to build a Norman army based on Robert Card because he's freaking badass. I don't want to say he's my hero because I don't know that I really have heroes, but there's people unlike Joel. There's people that I find particularly interested that I want to read more about. That doesn't mean I would worship at their feet or I would follow them in real life, because everybody has all those people, they weren't nice folks. Okay, they like to rape and pillage, and just because you're on their side, just means, well, you'll get raped and pillaged last. But Robert Guiscard is one of those guys. Those the Normans. I'm not particularly interested in the Normans when they go to Britain. But the ones that went to Sicily and Italy, oh yeah, really interesting fellows. And Beaumont, and yeah, those that's a really, if you're gonna make a movie about the Crusades, make the first Crusade. Man, there's some crazy stuff that happened, you know. But maybe it's better they don't make a movie about it, or they'll just screw it all up. But yeah, so I actually took a Norman guy and made a Robert Guiscard figure. I gave him a cape because I figured he needed to have a cape, and I just kind of lost steam. And now Mitch has an army, and of them, so he likes them. Of course, he likes anything that has knights in it. So that pretty much. No, I would love to paint one only because I think it would look really nice. I got a bunch of Old Glory figures, and the chainmail looks great on them when you dry brush them. Old Glory has really deep recesses in their chainmail, so they paint up really really nice. Or at least I like how they look. But it would be more effective if I actually painted an Anglo-Danish army because Mitch already has the Normans. Of course, the Anglo-Danes, I've already figured it out. I did one of those. Okay, let's research what figures I would pick and what it would cost, and then put them in my box, and then just never finish the transaction because I don't need to buy any more figures. But I think with 4 packs of those forged in battle Anglo-Danes, I could build them, and I could build a Middle Anglo-Saxon army as well, so they could do double duty. But the Anglo-Danes have no mounted in the DVA list at all, so which is okay. But you don't have any fast troops either, so you gotta mind your flanks. I'm getting to the point where I'm having trouble remembering the names of things because I don't practice it. It's like memory. It's like if you don't exercise your memory and remember, and talk about details. I remember the game perfectly, but I just don't remember what the name of the game was. And that happened a lot. I mean, there was a game a long time ago that we used to play. I mean, this is old school time. This is like, I think it was a Microprose game. And I could never remember what the name of this game was. This name of this game was a fantasy game that was set in 15th century Germany. And you have these characters. You could have up to 4 people in your party, and you went around and you went on adventure, and you got better on your skills and armor and stuff. But the backdrop of it is during the time period where you have the Fuggers, and so it's like late 1400s, early 1500s. But the plot is that there is the Teutonic Knights have kind of, are involved in like this cult and stuff like that, where they're bringing back, you know, uh, devil worshipping and that kind of stuff. Of course, this is really primitive graphics by today's standards, but I found the name of the game. The name is called Darklands. This is probably 1992, 1993, that kind of thing. EGA graphics. That's all you have, but you could do a little fighting, and your guys would come out on a field, and you're against 4 other guys, and match them up and do the fighting like that. I don't think you actually did the actual strokes and stuff, but you had to, like, okay, you go fight this guy, or break off, or that kind of thing. But yeah, I remember it was like a map of Germany, and you had to go around, like, Germany, and go to different places, and do different things to find out where this final stronghold was going to be, where you had to fight the Teutonic Knights and Baphomet. They had brought the devil back up to life, and you had to fight that. And you know I played that over at a buddy of mine's house, and I think together we ended up solving the game. But yeah, good times. But I remember the game very well. I don't. You could even pick like your heraldry and stuff for your characters. So I was into that. But extremely primitive by today's standards. But I couldn't remember what the name was of the game was called. I remember the game very well, but the name of the game was not catchy enough for you to remember. That kind of thing. So yeah, that's happening more and more. But it's something I hadn't talked about in 30 years, 20 years, whatever, however long it was. So, yeah, I was pretty big on video games. I mean, my generation kind of, we've always been played them. We were kids when they first came out, and I mean, I stayed off of computer games probably the last 8 or 10 years, only because my computer died. But there's so many out there that you can't play them all. So usually, if I do any kind of video gaming, it's on a console because it's just easy to start up. I don't have to worry about crappy internet for the most part, which is what I have, and it works for me pretty well. But I've played my share of video games. There's so many out there that are just like I've downloaded things that go like, okay, I've done this before. How many times do I need to save the world from in a first person shooter? I mean, we started playing Wolfenstein 3D and all of the split offs of that, and the first Doom, and all the other, what is it, Hexen, and all the split offs they had of all those games. There's one game actually, and again, this is a game I remember very well. I don't remember what the game was called. It was a first person shooter. It came out in, I'm going to say 1993, 1994. Don't remember what the name of the game was, but you played it like a superhero, okay? Which is strange because I'm not a superhero kind of person. It's not really a genre that I like. But you went and you were like fighting cultists and stuff like that. And there was actually vehicles you could climb into. And that was unique for that game at the time. There was games that were kind of unique when they did something for the first time you had never seen before. There was a shooter, and I don't remember what it's called right now. It had a very Transylvanian type look to it. I want to say it was something like Blood or something like that. But it was the first one that I saw where there was a mirror in there. And you'd be like in a room and there would be a mirror. You walked in front of the mirror, you could see what your character looked like. You know, you're playing first person shooter. I think it was called Blood, something like that. And Hex and those guys were split offs of that. And then we played Duke Nukem 3D, which was the first one you could actually aim like up. It's usually like you're aiming in front of a guy and there's a guy on the ground above them. You don't know who it's really the computer's targeting when you're shooting. So you got to kill them all. We did all that stuff, and then I can't remember what the superhero was, but it was like a tank or something like that, and you can get into that as well. Really primitive in that early graphics when things were pixelated, like Doom, whatever that's called. I forget what. Well, it looks like Minecraft. That's why I won't play Minecraft. I've done that shit before. Of course, I'm too old for that, but my daughter, when she was little, hey, you want to see this? It looks like crap. Looks like these games we used to play way back when. What else? Yeah, yeah, we did 'em. We've done all that stuff. You know, we played flight simulators with a freaking mouse. Are there any enemies that you own that you haven't played in a video battle for YouTube? Yes, but they're not 3.0 compatible. Wait, no, I think they've all starred in it. Well, let's pull up a window and look at my boot up the Excel. All right, feudal Spanish, yes, and the Berbers, yes. My Koreans, yes. All three of those are not 3.0 compatible. Rajputs, yep. Tang Chinese, yep, they're in one when they fought the Koreans, pretty sure. Polybian Romans, they've been in it. Marian Romans, yes. Armenians, oh yeah. My samurai, have I done a game with a samurai? I may not have done a game with a samurai, but they're not 3.0 compatible. And the samurai suck because they only fight themselves. Well, I guess if you went a little bit later, Yeah, during the time period of DBA, they only fight themselves. After what's his face unites Japan, is it Toyotomi? I don't know. Whichever Shogun Daimyo and unites Japan in the late 1500s. They end up going after. They end up fighting the Koreans and the Ming as well. But during this time period, 1450, I think, to early 1500s, it was just a civil war. Every man for himself, every samurai for himself, warlord smackdown type thing. Medieval Norwegians, oh yeah. Terracotta Warriors, the Qin Dynasty, yep. Song Dynasty, yep. Southern Dynasty, my favorite army that got nerfed. This is the army that I won the national championship with was in 2010. The Southern Dynasties Chinese with my Chinese elephant. I think they're in a video, but they're not 2, 3.0 compatible. And that army changed completely. They got nerfed. They took my elephant away from me in that list. I'll have to use them in a later Tang list, and now they moved it to the later Tang. But whatchamacallit has that army. Joe has that army, so not a big incentive in converting those guys to 3.0. Swedish Lighting, yep, they've been on there. French Ordonnance, A and the B, yep. Ptolemaics, I believe they're in one. Medieval Germans and the two flavors, the C and the D, yep. Italian Ostrogoths and early Ostrogoths, I believe. My Spanish, yep. French, both of my Burgundians. Yeah, those crazy bastards are 12 and 3. Those are some lucky jokers. Death by pincushion. Uh, that's their secret to winning. Uh, Early Russians are not in a video yet, even though I've played them. They're not in a video yet, but they're not complete either. My courage. Yep, those poor guys are 1 and 4. I love the way that army looks though. Medieval Irish. I think they've been in a few videos. What do you think? Later Hungarians. Oh, poor guys. Yeah. So I guess everybody but the Russians because they're not complete. And yeah, I think everybody else has pretty much been in a video. I mean, that is the idea. So I don't know that I ever have you talk about your champions. Well, I don't want to brag or something, but they're difficult. They're really, really, they're, well, when I started playing DBA, you would go to Historicon and there was people playing. And every year there was less. So 2006 was the first year I went. There's a tournament called Midnight Madness. And the way Midnight Madness works, it's a single elimination. And it starts at midnight. So you show up with an army and you have a matchup against someone else. And that game runs from midnight to 1. And then if you win, you continue on at 1 to start your second game. And then 2, 3. So basically, the championship game ends like at 5 o'clock in the morning. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to come in second because you didn't get any sleep at night and you didn't win the championship. You came in second. But they only ran Midnight Madness, I think, the first 2 years I went, 2006, 2007. And I think I lost the first game both times. I may have won the first game the second time, but I was out after that. But in 2006, there was probably, I don't know, 40, 50 people playing DBA, 2.2, of course. That's all there was back then. And every year, there was probably 20 to 30% less people that played DBA. They just, people are nomadic, you know. They just move on to other things. And same thing with the vendors. The first year I went to the vendors, I was like in freaking Valhalla. I was like amazing. Like, oh, every figure vendor's here. And then the next year there's a few less. And next year there's a few less. And the next year's a few less. And then it's like, okay, well, I don't go to Historicon to buy things because, you know, I don't need stuff. But, you ended up, when you're playing every week, the reason to go to a convention like that, at least for me, is to hang out with other folks that have a common interest. I mean, yes, you play the entire time, but it's my big interest is to, speak, you know, hang out with folks that have the common interest that you get to see, once a year or, a couple times a year or whatever, if they come down to Florida or what have you. But that's why I'm not really in any particular hurry to go to a convention until, we get back to how things were in 2019 because, if they have conventions, they're going to put restrictions on what you can do that keep me from being interested in socializing with people. So then why am I really going? And for us it's a 14, 15 hour drive, and it's a bit of coin. I mean, it's for 4 days it's really not that expensive, but it does take vacation time, which is a premium. And there's no we play every week, so we don't need to go to play games. We want to go and hang out with people that we have a common, interest in. So it may be that we don't go to a convention for, I don't know, 5 years. I don't know what it is, but it is what it is. It's out of my hands. It's not my decision to make. But but yeah, DBA is the only game I've ever played that is tournament based. So that's actually not what attracts me, the fact that it's tournament based. It may be now a little bit, but the first thing that appealed to me is, oh, so here's a game where I don't have to paint the armies for both sides, and the game's over in an hour, and I get to play with my new army all convention long. If you play it right. I want to play with the things that I painted. You know, it's your incentive to paint more things. The fact that it's competitive, I've never played anything that's a tournament type based thing. So I don't have these horror stories of tournament players because for the most part, of all the different people I've played, and I've played, well, I'll tell you how many different people I've played. Hey, we keep stats here for a reason, right? It's not really. I just started doing it. Luckily, I did it at the beginning. It's just really interesting to look back and look at things that you think are so good versus people. Okay, I have played 134 different people. Of those 134 different people, maybe I'm going to go out on a limb and say three people, and I may be off. It might actually. So I think that says a lot. Most people are pretty damn decent. So in a tournament game, really? Yeah, I mean, maybe three people. And you guys don't get to guess who they are. Um, but this is a tournament game, so I do not have any tournament. And the three people I didn't want to play, I don't think it was because it was a tournament setting. I think they were just people that I just didn't want to play a game with. So I think that says a lot. Two for sure. I got to think if there's a third one. Anyhow, that's pretty good odds. You know, maybe I've gotten lucky. Maybe a lot of it is what you bring to the game. I'm not a win at all cost player. I want to have a good time, and I do play hard, but that's okay. I want the other guy to play hard too. It's not like I don't want to be challenged. So anywho, I think that's pretty good odds for a tournament game that people complain about, tournament players, this, that, or the other. So I don't really have a bad experience on tournaments. I have a bad experience on games that involve a really big table, or that you expect reinforcements and you don't get it in, or people playing with my miniatures because I'm supplying them for a game and they're ham fisting them. people smelling bad in a game. Fortunately, not too many of those, but you got to use deodorant, folks, and you need to shower every day. Okay, you should do that. It's good for morale. You can't be too busy to not take care of yourself. You're a human first, German gamer second. So, what else? Yeah, I really don't have a bad experience on tournaments, but I've only played this game in tournaments. So, gamer funk can definitely affect your enjoyment of a game. There's no excuse. The last time it happened, I'm not going to mention any names. I didn't bring it up to the person, but the person that was guilty of this is not someone who I would consider an idiot. But there's some people out there that are really brilliant, but don't have a lot of common sense. That's not me. I don't want to be that brilliant ever. I'm in luck. This is a really book smart person. But then, they don't put on deodorant. And it's like, no, 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 that's never an excuse. Nobody had to tell me that. It's like, dude, but I haven't had that many type of any that many incidents of that. But yeah, again, no guessing names. They don't play with us regularly. So there you go. But I just never understood that. I never understood I'm too busy to do that. I'm too busy to shower or, come on, man, you're gonna fail a morale check, you know? Change your clothes and take a shower every day. Yeah. Gamer funk stories. That's a that's a good one of it. So I don't have that many. I don't have that many, fortunately. Is this guy done? We're gonna call Yuri Yaroslav here done. Yeah. Of the week on over the weekend of these guys and see how these shields kind of blend a little bit right now because it looks pretty shoddy right now. It looks like there's a decal on there, but they turn out okay after you've sealed them up and stuff. I had my doubts, but I have seen it. I have seen it with my own eyes that it's okay. Just when it looks like there's no hope, it turns out okay. All right, so what do we else we got? We got another one of these guys with the same type of face. We're not doing him next because we just got done painting a guy that looks like that. What else we got here? We need one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. We need eight more folks. All right, well, let's pull out who's going to be here because we definitely have to have the leader. Okay, he's definitely going to be there. And that leaves seven more. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Oh, the flag bearer's got to be one. Okay. And then of all of these, one of these guys is not going to make it to the final round. So let's just go ahead and decide who the hell that's going to be. Oh, here's the guy with the horn. Little boy blue, he needed the money, right? I'm dating myself. Okay. Okay, this guy that actually has an open face. There's an other open face guy here, but he has a teardrop. And this guy has a round shield, so he's on. Okay, because he's totally different. He's on, he's on. Well, be nice if it was on the screen, wouldn't it? Okay. The guy with the horns on, okay, because he's different. We have one of these guys with a teardrop shaped shield. We have two of them with a teardrop shaped shield. Okay, so this guy has a round one, so that's I mixed them up and gave them all kind of different things. Oh, here's another teardrop one, so we don't need that pose. And let's do this one, and let's do a round one for him, 'cause I like that horse. One of these horses is really static. This one. We'll leave this guy off. And I don't know why I have all these extra nights, because I I ended up doing a DBA army, so I don't really understand why I have these extra guys, but I do. I don't think I bought extras. All right, so we put that one guy off to the side. Let's go ahead and paint some of these. Let's put this away for a little bit and base these guys in black and make sure we got a good base coat on these guys, and we can do that. Good morning, Australian Greg. 3 nights in a row, make up for no painting this weekend. Well, I might just paint this weekend. We may have had a change of plans. I thought I was going out of town, and it doesn't look likely. So, if we do not go out of town, you better believe we'll be painting on Saturday morning and Sunday morning. Not in the middle of the day, but Okay, let's get our this stuff here. Oh, I'm scared to open this. I know I'm going to get this black shit all over me. And whatever reason, this is difficult to come off your fingers. It's some form of polyurethane or something. Let's see if we can open this without creating a mess. I had an incident that happened to me today, not today, this week, involving smashing my finger up against something. I cut a corner at my desk, and this finger, I ended up squashing it against my body, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna get a black finger. I don't want to scare people on TV. It's like I went into the cooler, and man, I iced it for a long time. Ended up not being a big deal, but I'm like, man, I don't want to be that nasty fingered guy, on videos. Have some half rotten finger about to fall off, and you guys don't need to see that. And if you're into that, then maybe you need to check out a different channel, because you don't need to see that here. It's bad enough with Mitch's feet in the videos. Oh man, Baron Lafitte. All right, so let's just. I know that these guys originally had a thing of were painted black. I believe I used Model Master Acryl for these guys. The problem is they got thrown when I lost interest in this army, because I had already played it. They just got thrown in a box, and of course they got chipped up, and that's why there's chips of some of this black missing. Look at that. I still got myself. I'm an idiot. All right. Important thing is not get it on something else. Yes. Can we get that off? All right, we did all right. This is like the sloppiest thing I do, is paint this, so I don't want to be careless if I can avoid it. So, Greg, if you're still watching, I know you mentioned that you had already read that Crusades book by Dan Jones. Have you read the one about Magna? He's got a Magna Carta one, and he's got a Templar one. And I don't want to read any of his books if they don't have okay, like for instance, I'd be scared of reading the Templar book if it was all like too much like religious dogma stuff in there. That would like not really what I want to get into. So, and the Magna Carta one, if it's all like freaking laws and stuff, I mean, I get enough law talk every day. I try to one of those two. Have you read them, or are they worth listening to from the standpoint of maybe what I'm presenting that I'm interested in? The Templar book is actually narrated by on Audible, narrated by the author as well. So that's a big plus. But I don't want something to be like focused on something extremely limited because it's like, okay, well, if I'm not going to build a Crusades army, which I have no intention to do anytime soon, why am I listening to this book when I could be listening to something else? So, but either way, I decided to do the War of the Roses one next, which I think encompasses more than just the War of the Roses. But I like his writing style. He keeps it interesting, and I have more than a cursory information of knowledge on some of these things. So I have a good base to start learning from. A lot of these history things, like if you don't know anything about the period, it'd be like, yeah, you might be a little lost. But heading downtown for shopping. Oh, okay. Somebody's got to keep the economy rolling, right? So, anyways, if you know about those two, the Magna Carta and the Templars book, and you read them, just let me know what you think of them. But the narrator is very important. There's a book on the conquistadors. I don't remember what it's called. It might be called Conquistador. Woohoo! And the narrator wasn't bad, except he mispronounced like everything. He mispronounced everything in Spanish, and he mispronounced everything any of the native Aztec Tlaxcalan names. So you've read the Templar and Plantagenet books, but not the Magna Carta. The Templar book is quite good, tends to concentrate on individuals, much like the Crusades. The Crusades one was great because it concentrated pretty evenly on both sides, and it picked out the people that were interesting. So yeah, and the Plantagenet one was. There's periods of the Plantagenet book that I found particularly boring, that I really didn't care a whole lot about. I kind of lost interest after Longshanks, when it was that whole period where Longshanks' son that was not worth a damn, where he kind of pulled like a who's the guy that took over from Marcus Aurelius? Kind of like him. He was shitty like him. I guess he would have been Edward II. Anyhow, I kind of lost interest in that period. It was one of those I'd just be listening to it, and I like 15 minutes, and I'm like, do I remember anything that was written there? But I felt like the Plantagenet book I needed to have an atlas near me much more than the Crusades book. I don't know if that makes any sense, but gotta go. Lorraine is beckoning me to get off my arse. Ah, so she's the one taking you shopping. Okay. Well, don't buy yourself any pink panties. I actually don't mind going shopping. What I don't like is standing in place for a long time. So, I don't mind going shopping when I don't need anything. Where I go to like let's go to the sale rack and see what I can't leave there. So I don't mind doing it at all. But, I don't like doing it when you're looking for something in particular. If you're just kind of seeing and, like what am I not going to leave there because it's only $8, that kind of thing. I don't really buy junk. I just want to buy stuff that's on super sale that they don't want. Like, oh, there's my incentive to get it. I don't really need this, but for that price, I'm not leaving it for somebody else to take it. And grocery shopping, I don't mind going grocery shopping. It beats the hell out of cooking. I'm almost as good a cook as Rick, but Rick makes better waffles than I do. Oh man, that's a classic. So I, even though I've used this stuff for a while, this primer, I don't know that I've got a really good idea whether or not it's very durable. I can tell you one thing, whatever material is in it, it's supposed to be some kind of polyurethane. It flows really nice. Like you put it on stuff and it doesn't leave a lot of air pockets that pop later. So that alone is a win in my book. But as far as durability, I'm not sure that I have any kind of an idea of how durable it is. I don't know that it needs to be very durable. I mean, I'm putting a primer coat down. I'm painting 3 to 4 different levels of color on all of the figure, and I'm sealing it with gloss, sealing it with flat, and then brushing on flat. I think it's got enough protection on it. You know, if I cooked as well as you paint, I'd be all set. As is, I cook about as well as I paint, and that isn't saying a whole hell of a lot. Or maybe actually it is saying a lot. It's not saying a whole hell of a lot, but it is saying a lot. I lived alone 8 years, I think. I don't think I cooked anything other than like maybe fried eggs and rice one time, more than one time. But I just don't want to do. I don't want to deal with a cleanup. I can see the cooking thing being fun, but I got to start basically from ground zero on that. But it's like somebody says, well, somebody told me, how do you have the patience to spend this much time on your figures? Well, how do you have the patience to cook for 3 hours to eat something it takes 4 minutes to eat? People have patience for different things. You know, you got to choose your battle. You got to choose what your interests are. You can't do everything all the time. Some people enjoy working on their yard or garden. No, I'll do it because I need to, but and it feels good to do it. But then a week later, it's like time to do it all over again. It's like no, I was busy working, and you just the Mother Nature just let it get out of control again. Like no, not my thing. But some people enjoy that. If I painted these guys and a month later they would unpaint themselves, yeah, I wouldn't be doing this. I don't need to replace anything I've already done. We need to build upon it. So yeah, but I want to get these guys done because the next army that's coming is going to be. I think it's going to be a hoot. Just the dialogue alone is going to be amusing. Would put it lightly. So be putting it lightly. I know the next guy I'm going to finish is going to have. I'm going to have him have a an almond type shield. So because I want to put one of those decals down, not another one, a circular one that I'm struggling with the shield being completely circular. If not, it throws the whole thing off. So yeah, I took a look at who did I take a look at? Alternative armies. Okay, I took a look at alternative armies because I wanted to look at some of their peasants. They have and they sell figures by the individual. But with the new freight cost, shipping cost, I think their minimum is like 15 pounds, something like that, sterling for shipping. And I'm like, man, I don't think I would have bought 15 pounds sterling of stuff. So why would I pay 30 pounds sterling for 15 pounds of lead to shipping? So I'm like, I don't think they're doing it to gouge me. It's just what's the increased cost for everybody. Well, I guess we're gonna do this guy and not base him. I don't know if that I'm going to do a shield on him. Well, we'll just put these two guys off because we're kind of indecisive about it. I'm going to use little boy's room and then I'll be right back. So we'll put a little place marker here. Okay, well, that was a little bit of a sidetrack, but I needed to get water for people and so forth, so I'm back. You guys have nowhere to be other than here. Perfect. Yeah, this guy's back. All right. So the nice thing is maybe some of these guys already dried out. Wouldn't that be cool? I wanted to do a guy with an almond shaped shield, but the one that's here, both of these guys have the same freaking armor as the guy I just did. Well, I said I wanted to do an almond shaped shield, and by God, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, let's put these guys away, and this can go away now. Somewhere where it can dry. I don't set something on it and pull black paint all over my work area. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night having to look at all that stuff. Put this down here over by right by those figures I couldn't find. This horse looks kind of uppity. We'll do him later. Show him some manners. We'll have to wait. All right. All right. First things first. Let's go ahead and just get the shield out of the way. Meaning I'm going to go ahead and paint it white so that it can already be well dried by the time we get around to doing that. This white dries up faster than anything else. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's got more pigments that they used from the white dry out faster or something. We're going to need a little more than that. Let's thin this down because we do not want it to not be applied smooth, or it makes it more difficult for the decal to adhere to that. We found out somebody in our neighborhood outside of our neighborhood, ended up taking out a telephone pole with power lines. So 75% of our neighborhood has no power, and for once, we weren't affected by it. So that's good because I can deal without power. I can't deal without air conditioning, especially since I've been outside all day long. It's freaking hot here, folks. First thing I want to do when I get home is cool off. So fortunately, I didn't affect it. Somebody hit a telephone pole and snapped it in half. A power pole. Yeah, it's like a telephone pole, just carrying other things, lots of other stuff on there. All right, we'll leave that be for a little bit, and then we'll go probably right into the dry brushing of the metallic color. You guys just kind of hanging out for the ride, just listening to the monologue, enjoying the monologue. I'm drinking my non-caffeinated drink. I don't need to stay up all night. And no, this is not a cranberry and vodka. No, just a tiny little bit of cranberry juice in the water. Gives a little bit of flavor, and it's better than just drinking just straight water. I mean, I'm talking like maybe not even one part in 10, maybe like 1 part of 20, something like that. Okay, what else do we have here? Let's get the metal here. There was a big stink the other day. I think it might have been yesterday. It might have been before that. I didn't hear about it until yesterday about eBay and PayPal like splitting ways. I know they weren't owned by the same people anymore, but they weren't going to allow something to be able to use PayPal. But I think it just affects the vendors. I think the way I read it is people that were selling things couldn't use PayPal to have it. It had to go directly to their bank account, and people were kind of up in arms because they didn't want eBay to have access to their bank account. But people still would be able to pay with PayPal, which is all I care about. I don't plan on selling. I don't plan on selling stuff on eBay. I've done it before, but it involves me having to go to the post office, which I have less than zero interest to do. So, yeah, make sure I didn't. Yep. All right, let's take some of this off and see if we can get some dry brush action in here. We're going to do the same thing that we did last time with the known oil, and part of this and part of it won't have it. This guy almost looks like he's got a mixture of scale and chain armor. And we will be back on in the morning, unless something happens to me at night. But we'll see how much of this guy we can get done painted tonight. And we may want to do maybe something like this. Let me adjust this. There we go. So we're not all cockeyed. Andy R. Mac. Oh, thanks for stopping by. I didn't know you were there. For those of you that do not know, I have no way of finding out who is watching. The only information I have is how many people are online, but I have no idea who they are. They could be famous people. They could be. I have no way of finding out unless you post something. So, but you can remain anonymous if you want. That way, I don't tell the authorities that I know where you're at. Yes, because that's exactly how I roll. Oh man. Let's do this. Wow, 3,300 hours. 33. Wow. I can't stay up till 3:30 at night. I'm more than likely wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and then start painting, then stay up till 3. I just can't do that. I could do it in the past, but that was the 1990s. That's just not worth it anymore. You do things and it's like, I don't feel so good. Let's not do that again. All right, let's just do the Nuln Oil here on the scale portions of this figure. I believe, if you're still watching, Rick, I believe now the name of that game I was talking about, where as you played, as you did whatever action, you became better at it, was called Dungeon Siege, if I remember correctly. I don't know why that came to me now all of a sudden, but that was a cool game. But I don't believe it was tied into any particular fantasy system or world. It was kind of its own little thing. But yeah, Dungeon Siege. I never got a chance to finish it. There's several games I never got a chance to finish because my computer was already kind of on the fritz, and it just couldn't keep up with the graphics requirements. Dirk, welcome, welcome from the lands long over. Yeah, you've heard of that. Yep. It's made by, I don't know who the hell made it. Yeah, it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. It had some steampunk stuff. The goblins had steampunk. Is that null oil gloss on the scale? It's not gloss. It's flat. I don't believe it's gloss. They do make a gloss one, but does it say? No, I don't believe it's gloss. They do make a gloss one now that I think about it. But yeah, because the problem is that it's the same material. It's the same color, but it's two different materials. So I wanted them to stand out a little bit. They don't have to be like totally different, but I did want them to stand out a little bit. So that's what I decided to do on the last one, and I was fairly happy with how it turned out. I need to put some more of this white on here because of just giving it another coat. Yeah, Nuln oil. That's something I've started using in the last, say, year. I never used it before then, and it's handy. All right. All right, what else does this clown do? Well, we got to do his horse. So what do we have here horse-wise? We've got a medium brown, a gray, another medium brown, another gray, a dark brown, a medium brown. Sounds like this guy needs a black horse. Done. It's the gloss is very good for chain and scale. Why is the gloss better than the flat? Just because it applies better? I think when I bought it, I don't think there was two, but when I went to the store recently, I did notice that there was a second one that was gloss. And I'm like, well, I don't want this in gloss. But I guess it ultimately doesn't really matter because I'm going to make it flat. But I'm worried about tipping this thing over, like because it's kind of light, but I should buy another one and just hold on to it, right? So I don't run out. It preserves the metallic shine. Oh, okay. I don't like them as shiny, but I guess when I run out of this one, maybe I'll give the other one a shot. Right. So we're gonna give this guy a black horse. Let's just make sure we go over it and we don't have anything missing on it. So we're just gonna go pure black, even though we're gonna tinker with this afterwards. Let's just make sure we got pure black in the deepest recesses of this particular horse. This horse has a huge head. Huge. I mean, it looks like a freaking cow. No. Huge head. So how many guys I said I had to do? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I got to do 8 more guys. I want to work on the next army. So normally in most armies, I work on the most boring thing first. And I work my way up to the most exciting thing. Kind of building up to it. This next one, I'm going to start with the most fun thing. That's going to get the ball rolling. I'm pretty sure I know who it's going to be. Who the folks are going to be, but we will see. I've got, I don't know, probably it's going to be every bit of a 3 weeks to a month before I get a chance to do that. Okay, so this guy's completely black. Let's get in here and get our. All right, we're going to use this. See where that SS black is. We'll give it a little bit of a brown hue. But this stuff's really dark, anyways. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I don't know what speed the fan on is, but it's the wrong speed. It's making a little donk, donk, donk sound. Very faint. Or maybe not so faint if I hear it. Because my hearing is not the best. Huh? All right. We've got the wrong brush here. Doing that. Let's do this one. I really could use some caffeine, but I don't dare. Well, what'll happen is it's going to be difficult for me to get to bed this late because I don't have anything that's mild caffeine. And what'll happen is I'll wake up like every 3 hours or whatever, which, most nights would only be once, as I don't sleep a whole lot. because we got to be back up at 5 a.m. Got to. We got to get some painting done. I'm pretty sure we're not going to go out of town at all. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But we had something kind of planned, and it didn't. The last minute, it kind of changed. So, no big deal. I could think of a lot worse things than stay home all weekend painting. A lot worse things. Okay. A little bit of white on there. And we'll see if I put too much on there. No. I think we're all right. I think we'll stop at 10, just to be safe. And then we'll be back in the morning. 10 Eastern Standard Time. The time zone I've always lived in. Let's give it a tiny little bit more white, just the tiniest of little bits. All right. I think this is where we're going to pick up tomorrow. It doesn't, you can't even tell anything. It's just so damn shiny but it's a black, really dark brown with a little gray highlighting. Anywho. Yeah, this is where we're going to stop for tonight. And it's almost an hour and a half. And I appreciate you guys coming out and chit-chatting a little bit. And we'll pick it up again in the morning. And what is it? About 7 hours? Something like that. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Happy painting. And have a good night. And we'll catch you guys in the morning for more Russian fun. See you guys. Bye-bye.